The global AI race is beginning to look less like a competition between technology companies and more like the formation of two rival geopolitical blocs. The United States is preparing to warn dozens of countries that they may have to choose between participating in Washington's AI coalition and joining China's competing organization. According to Reuters, a draft State Department letter says countries participating in the American-led framework could be excluded if they also align themselves with Beijing's new AI organization. The message is unusually clear. When it comes to artificial intelligence, semiconductors, data centers, and the minerals that make them possible, Washington increasingly believes countries cannot remain fully inside both systems. The American framework is called Pax Silica. The State Department describes it as an economic security coalition for the AI age, designed to connect trusted countries across the entire technology supply chain. That includes critical minerals, semiconductor manufacturing, advanced computing, data centers, energy infrastructure, AI models, and the networks needed to move data between them. Nearly 36 economies signed a broader AI opportunity statement at a Pax Silica summit in Washington in June, while countries including Japan, Australia, South Korea, India, Finland, the Philippines, Qatar, the United Arab Emirates, and others have participated in different parts of the initiative. China has now built a competing structure. In July, representatives from 29 countries signed an agreement creating the World Artificial Intelligence Cooperation Organization, or WICO, headquartered in Shanghai. Founding members include Kazakhstan, Indonesia, Pakistan, Laos, Russia, and other countries, with Beijing presenting the organization as an open platform for international AI development, governance, capacity building, and cooperation. Chinese officials argue that artificial intelligence should not become the exclusive domain of a small group of technologically advanced countries and have repeatedly emphasized participation by the Global South. At first glance, these organizations sound like diplomatic talking shops. They are not. The deeper contest is about who controls the physical and digital infrastructure beneath artificial intelligence. An AI model may appear to be software, but creating and operating it requires one of the most complicated industrial supply chains on Earth. Advanced processors may be designed in the United States, manufactured in Taiwan, assembled using equipment from the Netherlands and Japan, packaged with high-bandwidth memory from South Korea, powered by data centers in another country, and built using minerals extracted and refined somewhere else entirely. Control even one critical link and you gain leverage over the entire system. That is why the word silica appears in the American coalition's name. The AI race is not simply about ChatGPT versus DeepSeek or Gemini versus Qwen. It begins much earlier, with mines, chemical processing, silicon wafers, lithography machines, memory chips, transformers, fiber networks, and enormous quantities of electricity. Washington is trying to turn these pieces into a trusted supply chain where participating countries depend less on China for strategically important technology. The State Department says Pax Silica is intended to secure the foundations of the AI economy while encouraging investment in data centers and advanced computing across partner countries. China is responding with a different message. Beijing portrays WICO as a global governance and development institution rather than an exclusive technology bloc. Chinese officials say the organization should promote broad consultation, shared benefits, safety, fairness, and access to AI for developing nations. President Xi Jinping has presented China's approach as an alternative to technological concentration, arguing that artificial intelligence should become a global public good rather than an advantage controlled by a few wealthy countries. These two visions sound different because they are competing for different advantages. The United States dominates many of the highest value technologies needed to build frontier AI. American companies lead in AI accelerators, cloud platforms, frontier models, semiconductor design software, and much of the commercial software ecosystem. Washington therefore benefits from a system built around trusted access to advanced technology. China has enormous manufacturing capacity, rapidly improving AI models, major telecommunications companies, growing semiconductor capabilities, and extensive economic relationships across Asia, Africa, Latin America, and the Middle East. Beijing benefits from presenting itself as a lower-cost and more accessible partner for countries that do not want their technological future controlled by Washington. The most interesting countries are those caught between the two. Kazakhstan is already involved with both frameworks. It matters because Central Asia contains strategically important mineral resources and sits between China, Russia, Europe, and major trade routes. Reuters reported that Kazakhstan's participation in both systems has become one reason Washington is preparing to clarify that countries may eventually need to choose. The draft American position reportedly says that participation in competing Chinese frameworks is incompatible with the level of strategic alignment Pax Silica is trying to create. For governments, choosing sounds much easier than it actually is. Consider South Korea. It is a close American ally and one of the world's most important semiconductor producers, but China is also a major export market for Korean electronics companies. Japan depends heavily on the American security relationship while maintaining enormous trade with China. Gulf countries want access to leading American AI chips and cloud technology, but also want Chinese investment, telecommunications equipment, and commercial relationships. Southeast Asian countries often prefer not to turn economic cooperation into a binary political choice. Artificial intelligence is now making that neutrality harder. The reason is security. From Washington's perspective, a data center is no longer simply a commercial facility. Large computing clusters can train advanced AI models with military, intelligence, cyber, scientific, and economic applications. Semiconductor plants and mineral processing facilities are also strategic assets. If an American partner shares critical infrastructure with a country deeply integrated into China's technology ecosystem, Washington worries that sensitive technology, knowledge, components, or data could eventually move across that connection. The more powerful AI becomes, the less separation exists between economic infrastructure and national security infrastructure. This logic is already visible in American export controls. Washington has spent years restricting China's access to the most advanced AI chips and semiconductor manufacturing technologies. But chip controls alone become less effective if Chinese companies can obtain computing power through third countries, if critical minerals remain dependent on Chinese processing, or if foreign data centers operate inside networks supplied by Chinese technology. Pax Silica attempts to expand the strategy from controlling individual products to controlling entire ecosystems. That is a much more ambitious project. Imagine trying to secure not one factory but every road leading to the factory, every supplier serving it, the electricity powering it, the computers controlling it, and the customers using its output. That is roughly the direction AI geopolitics is moving. The United States wants trusted supply chains stretching from raw materials to the final model. China is building its own network of suppliers, markets, infrastructure projects, standards, and international institutions. This could eventually split the global AI industry into partially incompatible systems. One group of countries might primarily use NVIDIA, AMD, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, OpenAI, Anthropic, and American-aligned infrastructure. Another could rely more heavily on Huawei, Alibaba, Tencent, DeepSeek, Chinese telecommunications equipment, and domestic or Chinese-backed data centers. Different regions might adopt different technical standards, security requirements, model governance rules, and cloud platforms. The Internet did not fully develop this way. Despite political restrictions and national differences, its basic protocols became remarkably global. A website built in one country could generally communicate with infrastructure somewhere else. The AI era may become more fragmented because the infrastructure is both more expensive and more strategically sensitive. A frontier AI data center can cost tens of billions of dollars. A semiconductor fabrication plant can cost even more. Countries cannot duplicate every layer easily, so alliances determine which technologies become available to them. There is also an economic opportunity hidden inside the confrontation. Washington is not asking partners to join merely for ideological reasons. Silica is being paired with investment initiatives. The State Department says partners intend to expand next-generation data centers, access to computing power, semiconductor supply chains, and AI deployment. Earlier this month, the United States also announced an AI assistance project under Silica that includes a pilot supply chain credentialing platform involving Panama's ports. The strategy is attempting to make alignment economically attractive rather than relying only on restrictions. China is using a similar approach from the opposite direction. WICO is connected to China's broader AI capacity building initiatives, which emphasize helping developing countries obtain technology, training, infrastructure, and access to artificial intelligence. For a country without billions of dollars to build its own frontier models, the most appealing partner may not necessarily be the one producing the strongest benchmark score. It may be the country willing to finance a data center, train local engineers, provide affordable models, and connect those systems to domestic industries. This is where Chinese open-weight models could become strategically important. DeepSeek, Alibaba's Qin family, and other Chinese systems have demonstrated that capable AI can sometimes be delivered at dramatically lower prices than premium Western models. If those models become integrated with Chinese cloud infrastructure and international development programs, Beijing could offer an attractive full package: affordable intelligence, hardware, financing, telecommunications infrastructure, and technical support. Washington must therefore compete on access and price as well as capability. But forcing countries to pick sides carries risks for the United States. Some governments may reject the choice entirely. A nation could want American GPUs, Chinese solar equipment, Korean memory, European semiconductor machinery, and its own domestic AI models simultaneously. Preventing that combination may make American technology less attractive if Chinese alternatives become good enough. Restrictions work best when the restricted technology has no substitute. The more capable China's ecosystem becomes, the higher the cost of demanding exclusivity. China faces a similar problem. Its message emphasizes openness, but Beijing itself maintains extensive controls over digital information, technology, and data. Countries considering Chinese AI infrastructure may worry about security, political influence, censorship, surveillance, and dependence on Chinese suppliers. The same sovereignty argument China uses against American technological dominance can also be applied to China. That means neither bloc is guaranteed to dominate simply by signing more members. The real competition will be measured by what each ecosystem delivers. Which side can provide affordable computing? Which can secure electricity? Which can build semiconductor capacity? Which models perform best in local languages? Which infrastructure can countries trust with sensitive government and corporate data? Which companies create jobs locally instead of merely selling imported technology? There is also the possibility that many countries will resist a complete split. Governments may formally join one framework while maintaining commercial relationships with companies from the other. Businesses are usually more pragmatic than geopolitical strategies. A manufacturer may choose an American AI model because it performs better while buying Chinese industrial robots because they are cheaper. A data center could contain American processors alongside components manufactured across Asia. Supply chains developed over decades cannot be separated overnight. The global semiconductor industry itself demonstrates why. Taiwan dominates advanced chip manufacturing. South Korea is critical in memory. Japan supplies essential materials and equipment. The Netherlands produces advanced lithography systems. China dominates processing for many critical minerals and holds enormous manufacturing capacity. The United States leads in chip design and AI software. Every major power depends on others somewhere in the chain. AI therefore creates a strange geopolitical contradiction. Countries want technological sovereignty at exactly the moment when the technology has become too complicated for almost any country to build entirely alone. Pax Silica and Wyco are attempts to solve that problem through alliances. Instead of achieving self-sufficiency nationally, governments can create trusted blocs where dependence on allies is considered acceptable. The result resembles the development of competing economic systems during earlier geopolitical eras, except the strategic resources are no longer primarily oil, steel, and nuclear technology. They are GPUs, data centers, AI models, critical minerals, and electricity. That is what makes Washington's latest message significant. Telling countries to choose between American and Chinese AI frameworks transforms artificial intelligence from another technology industry into part of the architecture of global power. The decision a government makes about its cloud provider or semiconductor supply chain may increasingly resemble the decisions it once made about military alliances. The AI race began with companies competing to build the smartest chatbot. Then it became a competition for chips. Then data centers, energy, robots, and financing joined the race. Now entire countries are being organized around competing AI ecosystems. The next question may no longer be whether America or China builds the strongest model. It may be how much of the world each side can persuade to build its future around it.